Ooh-wee, this is funny. So, Donald Trump suing CBS for $10 billion because they deceptively edited, allegedly, the Kamala Harris 60 Minutes interview. Now we have the full disastrous interview. Some of the most embarrassing stuff. I'm just going to give you the tops so you don't have to suffer through 60 minutes of word salad. A lot of it was benign. Like, we all know Kamala Harris is stupid. But make sure you leave a like on the video for me suffering through the fact-checking of her own stupidity to make sure absolutely positively that she is in fact stupid. Also, don't forget, I live stream every day at 1 Eastern. Today I'll be live with Melanie Mack and Luke Rudkowski. You have here, I would prefer you download the Rumble app. Watch us there. Follow the quartering on Rumble. Very easy to do. The new app is amazing. Or if you're a one app type of girl and you only don't want to download a new app, we have Quartercast, where I simulcast there. We're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. So there's a link in the description down below for that. Let's get to perhaps the worst part about this right now. Propaganda. 60 Minutes allows Kamala Harris to lie while the cameras are rolling. When they're off, they confront her, asking for the actual truth. This is treason. This is absolutely treason. Keep in mind, she is the vice president of the United States at the time of this interview. She's not just a candidate. Listen to this.
Madam Vice President, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
It's kind of quiet here. Let me turn it up. That's the end of the interview.
Can we just get just a little bit of a question, please, so I can get it over the shoulder shot?
Yeah.
1 second. Just a second. Okay, thank you.
So the cameras are not
Were we
rolling.
talking?
Yes, sir.
Well, we were talking about how you're going to pay for it, and I mean, I truly do mean it. Your plans are logical, make logical sense.
Okay.
The way Washington works is not logical. So how are you going to convince a divided Congress
Good question.
that what you say, your plans, are something that they should all agree to and provide to the American people when they've shown no inclination to do that up to this point?
Is that what you needed?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. 30 seconds of silence, please, for Room John. Cameras are off.
How will
Cameras
you?
are off. See?
It's going to be taxes. It's going to be literally.
Yeah, look at
The
it. They're like,
economy-
so now the cameras are off. So they very clearly, sorry, my wife's lady friend is here. They're going to be building Legos. If apparently that's what girls call whatever it is that they do. I thought they just do pillow fights and stuff like that, but Huck has sensed the presence of an outsider, and he's alerting me. So they turn the cameras off, and then he just says, well, actually, yeah, could you answer that?
I mean, they're from each the
But
spectrum.
I hear what you're saying
Yeah.
about the economists. This is true.
Yeah.
But Congress is not the economist.
I know.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So they let her lie on camera. And then when they're filming, just for like B-roll or whatever, they just then they want the truth. All the damning moments CBS edited out of the Kamala Harris interview 60 Minutes. Donald Trump claimed the sit-down had been rigged, and the unearthed version now shows that CBS only aired 20 minutes of Kamala Harris talking compared to the 60 minutes that were filmed. They cut out 2/3 of her answers. The FCC released the interview on Wednesday after Trump sued CBS News in October, claiming the network purposely edited the interview to put him at a disadvantage in the presidential election. The unedited clip opens with the former VP sneezing as she explains that she's allergic to mold, and while other sections of her answers were cropped out completely. In other places, Kamala Harris gave rambling answers on why she should be the president, foreign policy, and Donald Trump, all were quietly cut by CBS. The full interview shows that while Harris gave a lengthy answer when asked about Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, CBS only aired 7 seconds of it. Here are all the damning differences between the transcripts and what made it on air. Here's a go. Harris slamming Trump as a racist is edited out. The long version of the CBS interview revealed that the network cut out an entire answer Kamala Harris dedicated to slamming President Trump as racist. Interviewer Bill Whitaker asked the then vice president, and talking about the person you're mentioning right now, you have accused Donald Trump of using racist tropes when it comes to Haitian immigrants in Ohio, when it comes to birtherism, when it comes to Charlottesville. In fact, you have called him a racist and divisive. Yet Donald Trump has the support of millions and millions of Americans. How do you explain that? Kamala Harris says her answer to that was completely cut from the episode. Probably because it was going to get her sued. In the uncut version, Harris bashed Trump for having a boutique of microphones at his disposal for his most vile lies. The reference is to the comments Trump made last year about illegal immigrants eating people's dogs. In the unearthed version, Kamala Harris also made a bizarre boast about how she was the DA in California. The words I spoke could move markets. Well, that's an interesting thing to say, isn't it? That seems like a very interesting thing to say. In the deleted version of the interview, Harris went on to a strange rant about school kids' picture day and seemingly missed as a result of Trump's words about Springfield, Ohio. She responded, let's break down what you just talked about and talk about in the context of the words that Donald Trump has spoken and the actions he has taken, and whether that is reflective of us, who we are as Americans, knowing we have much more in common than what separates us. Literally what? As you know, at the time as a prosecutor to attorney general, to now I'm vice president, I learned very early in my career, when the voters bestow on you the authority you have in these positions, you must be thoughtful in what you use that microphone in front of you for. Blah, blah, word salad. Harris' answers on Israel were completely left out. Why? Because her base hates Jewish people. I mean, certainly there are people on the right that have big issues with Israel and its control, having too much control in the U.S. government. Something I happen to agree with. But I don't go so far as have any issue with Jewish people. The interviewer said, what can the U.S. do to stop this from spinning out of control? Probably talking about the Israel conflict. Her response, which was aired, was as follows. Let's start with October 7th. The 1,200 people, 250 hostages. I maintain Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it matters. Far too many innocent Palestinians have lost their lives. This war has to end. But the next section of her answer was completely edited out of the interview. The newly released transcripts revealed. And that war ending has to be our number one imperative. And it has to be our number one imperative, she repeated. Unprompted, then asked herself a rhetorical question and gave a roundabout, lengthy, repetitive answer. This part was removed from the original broadcast. Why? Because it would have played very bad with her base. CBS and 60 Minutes absolutely, positively, and without question edited this interview to make sure that it appeared favorable to CNN. Like, there is simply no question about it. CBS edited Whitaker's question to Harris on Netanyahu not listening to the United States, where he cited a report from the Wall Street Journal that the administration had repeatedly been blindsided by Bibi. Harris responded by boasting about the work they had done with Israel and cropped her answer just down to, we're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand about this war needing to end. Harris's answers on the Iranian threat also edited out. Whitaker asked Harris pointed but simple question about foreign policy that was completely left out of the version aired on CBS. He asked former VP, let's hit on some of the foreign policy. Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary? Kamala Harris's answer was Iran. That's why they cut it. Iran? You got to be kidding me. Iran? For what? She said, well, there are different reasons that should be thought about each. Most recently, I think about the obvious one, and that's Iran. And look, I mean, Iran has American blood on their hands. Okay. And what we saw in terms of this attack on Israel, 200 ballistic, 11 missiles. What we need to do to ensure Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power. Nobody cares about Iran. He asked then, so you have proof that Iran is building a nuclear weapon. Would you take military action? Instead of taking the bait, Harris turned down the question completely. She responded, I'm not going to talk about hypotheticals. The entire conversation, again, was cut out by CBS. Harris' answer on why she be president is also cut. Whitaker asked Harris why a quarter of the voters feel they don't know her, despite her serving as vice president. The newly released transcript showed that CBS omitted a huge chunk of Harris's bizarre, digressive words about traveling in the country, rather than actually saying why she ought to be commander-in-chief. But Madam Vice President, a quarter of registered voters still say they don't even know who you are, and they don't know what makes you tick. And why do you think that is? I mean, you have been vice president for 4 years. You have been on the national scene for longer. What's the disconnect? In both the edited and aired versions, Harris stated with her response that it's an election. And I take it seriously that we have to earn everyone's vote. However, CBS then edited out her next few answers, saying, and that's why I'm traveling our country. I see you in a few states in the last couple days. I'm taking with folks where I live. I'm listening to folks, and I'm working to earn the vote of every American. Why cut that? However, both versions continued. This is an election for President of the United States. No one should be able to take it for granted and just declare themselves as a candidate and automatically receive her support. That's why they cut it. Because she was declared the candidate. And she did not have the support. There was no primary. She also answered, her answer on NATO was trimmed and cut. Her economic plan was trimmed. Her answers on China and Taiwan were completely edited out. CBS cut a crucial line from Harris's answer on the border. Harris answered on the broadcast. When I came in office, and almost hours, Bill, after our inauguration, we proposed this and the other thing. In the aired version, Kamala then went on to describe what happened next. But in the unaired version, CBS left out 3 key words at the end of her speech about the border crisis was, of course, which I support. She had said that she supported border security, and CBS cut it out. Kamala Harris was a liar, is a liar, and CBS actively worked to cover up and lie to the American voters. I hope they lose this lawsuit and many more. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.